Greetings, welcome to Facts About Everything. I'm your host, James Egan. Today we're going to look at Kingpin. No, the comic book. Although that's a really funny movie. In 1979, Kingpin planted a tracer on Spider-Man so he'd be able to track him. A man who has the best name ever, Judge Jack Love, read this comic book and loved the idea because he believed that prisons were becoming overcrowded. Over time, he came up with the idea of the house arrest tracker for criminals. So there you have it. Kingpin invented the house arrest tracker. And that is the first fact about the Kingpin. Let's dive in. The Kingpin was introduced in Amazing Spider-Man number 50 in 1967. This was one of the most famous Spider-Man stories ever and was known as Spider-Man No More. This was the issue when Peter Parker quit being Spider-Man. His real name is Wilson Fisk. Kingpin is based on criminal mastermind Al Capone. Like Capone, Kingpin is a crime boss who pretends to be a respectable and legitimate businessman. Kingpin is massive. He is 6'7" and weighs 450 pounds. Although he appears obese, he is in peak physical shape by training relentlessly, so he only has 2% body fat, making him incredibly strong. But it's not just his body that's strong, it's his mind. His willpower is so astounding, he can resist psychic attacks. He even resisted mind control from Zebediah Kilgrave, the villain of Jessica Jones, despite the fact Kilgrave is one of the most powerful psychics in the world. The Kingpin is fluent in English, Spanish, Russian, Mandarin, and Japanese. Kingpin really hates when people call him fat. He is nicknamed Fatty and Stay Puffed. Despite being a criminal mastermind, Wilson Fisk did try to leave his criminal lifestyle behind by retiring to Spain after his wife died. He fell in love with a woman called Marta and moved in with her and her children. After several months of relative peace, he returned to her home to learn that Marta and her children were killed by the ninja clan, the Hand. They told Fisk that he was destined to be surrounded by death and he could never have a normal life. They brought him back to America, hoping he would lead the clan, which he eventually did. He became the leader of the Hand in Daredevil 512 in 2011. He lives in Fisk Towers, which stands across from the Empire State Building. His wife, Vanessa, debuted in Amazing Spider-Man number 70 in 1969. His son, Rose, had his goons attempt to murder Fisk by stabbing him repeatedly. When Vanessa learned this, she had her own son, Rose, murdered. His wife died in Daredevil 92 and 93 in 2007. Despite being an evil bugger, Fisk did truly adore his wife. He has such difficulty dealing with her death, he sometimes hallucinates and sees his dead wife. Fisk's wife was resurrected as a zombie assassin by rogue hand ninjas to kill the Kingpin. He murdered his dead wife, although he can't murder her if she's already dead. You know what I mean. You know what's weirder than that? Kingpin has killed a resurrected version of his wife twice. Frankly, once is too many. In 2013, IGN's top 100 comic book villains of all time ranked the Kingpin at number 10. Personally, the Kingpin is my favorite Marvel supervillain, apart from Magneto. Fisk often uses a strategy called the Lucky Loo. This involves sending a small-time villain like the Owl or Stiltman on one side of town to distract any nearby superheroes like Spider-Man, Daredevil, and the Punisher, while he would carry out a major crime deal like a drug ship or extortion. This technique was regularly used by Al Capone during the 1920s. Although he started off as a Spider-Man villain, he eventually became Daredevil's nemesis. When Kingpin learned that Daredevil was Matt Murdock, he kept the information to himself, believing he could use the information to his advantage. His main fighting style is sumo. He is also well versed in judo and hapkido. In combat, his signature move is a bear hug. Although he has no superpowers, he has fought Captain America to a standstill. There's a parody of Kingpin called Kingpig. His appearance is based on the actor Sidney Greenstreet. Greenstreet starred in Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon. He was well known for playing gangsters. Kingpin used to walk with a cane which contained a laser that shot a high-intensity energy beam. Spider-Man once worked the Kingpin into a frenzy by writing down a list of fat jokes. They included, "You're so fat that when you back up, we can hear a beeping sound. You're so fat that your high school yearbook photo was taken from a helicopter. You're so fat that when you get in the scale, it says, 1 at a time." He can crush a man's skull with his bare hands. An assassin called Echo shot him 7 times, which rendered him blind. Kingpin is not going to be bothered by little things like bullets or a lack of sight. After a few years, he was back to his normal evil self. He is so strong, he ripped a man's arm off with his bare hands. He usually wears an ornamental diamond stick pin that conceals a small chamber of sleeping gas. He wears Kevlar armor under his clothing. He is a henchman called Turk Barrett. He's played by Rob Morgan in the Daredevil TV series. Michael Clark Duncan plays the Kingpin in the 2004 film Daredevil. Since the Kingpin is extremely tall and very muscular, this makes sense because Michael Clark Duncan was literally the biggest Hollywood actor at the time. When he got cast, MCD was £290, but that wasn't enough. To make him look as humongous as possible, he had to stand on a box on most of his scenes. Also, Duncan had to gain an extra 40 pounds, making him 330 pounds of muscle. Some people criticized casting a black man as the white Wilson Fisk. However, Fisk was originally supposed to be black. At the last minute, the writers changed their mind, worried that there would be a backlash from the civil rights movement, which was on the rise at the time. However, Kingpin has been played by a black man several times. The insanely talented Roscoe Lee Brown provided the voice of Wilson Fisk in the 1994 animated series Spider-Man.
You will do exactly as I say. I don't think I have to tell you what happens to her if you fail.
Also, Michael Clark Duncan reprised the role of the Kingpin in the 2003 3D series Spider-Man.
Nice of you to drop by.
Not a problem. Will I be fighting any of your henchmen, or did you already eat them?
According to the writers, Wilson Fisk has no physical abnormalities, he's just very, very big. I disagree with that, because my uncle has acromegalic gigantism, and based on the way that Wilson Fisk is drawn, I'm pretty certain he does as well. I mean, look at this. His hand is almost the same size as a human being. His thumb is nearly as big as this guy's head. Also, gigantism or not, does anyone on Earth have a hand so large it can cover an entire human being? So although the Marvel website says he doesn't have gigantism, I strongly disagree with that. When Kingpin found out which school Spider-Man went to guarantee he would kill the wall crawler, Kingpin asked his men to blow up the entire school while class was in session. Kingpin and the Red Skull once stripped down to their underwear and fought inside a bubble. You know what's strange? That's not even in the top 50 weirdest comics. Not even close. Kingpin once squeezed a man's head so hard, the man's eyes popped out of their sockets. And you think that's disgusting? It took 5 minutes for the man to die. For a time, the Kingpin owned the merchandise rights of Spider-Man. As a result, the Kingpin tried to stay out of Spidey's way, as killing him would make him lose sales. You know who's scary? Venom. You know what's one of the only things that's more scary than Venom? The Kingpin bonding with Venom. That's terrifying. The Punisher Max did a reboot of the character. The story begins with Wilson Fisk simply being a gangster's bodyguard. This gangster and his goons are trying to figure out a new plan to get rid of the Punisher. And then they have an idea. Project Kingpin. You see, there's always been an urban legend that there was a secret master criminal controlling all the crime in New York. But this wasn't true. It was an idea the gangsters made to make superheroes and the police basically chase their tails, trying to find this master criminal that didn't exist. However, it was Wilson Fisk who put this idea forward. He told his boss that he would leave clues around so the Punisher would try and chase this non-existent criminal. So if the gangsters saw Wilson Fisk do anything suspicious, they just thought he was doing something in Project Kingpin, not realizing that Wilson Fisk was using this as an opportunity to make himself become the Kingpin. While the Punisher tried to track down this mysterious foe, he killed all the gangsters, basically eliminating Wilson Fisk's competition, which allowed him to become the Kingpin. Basically, Wilson Fisk made the urban legend of the Kingpin real. And let's finish up with a fact to encapsulate just how evil the Kingpin is. Fisk came home to find his wife and son held at gunpoint by local criminals. They told Fisk to drop his gun or his son would be killed before his eyes. Fisk didn't want to lose his criminal empire, so he shot the gangsters. They killed his son before they dropped dead. The only thing he could think of saying to his wife to reassure her is, "We'll have another one." What a jerk. If I had to recommend any Kingpin stories, check out Marvel Knight's Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. Basically, Brian Michael Bendis' entire run, starting issue 26. And Bendis kept writing all the way up to number 81, where Kingpin and Matt Murdock find themselves in the same prison. The Daredevil story, Return of the King, shows Kingpin returning as a crime boss of New York and the leader of the Hand. Ultimate Spider-Man 106 to 1110 has Kingpin going after Spider-Man, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, and Iron Fist. But the story I recommend more than anything is Punisher Max, which is a 22-issue story of the Punisher versus the Kingpin. This story is really not for kids, by the way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Please let me know if there's any other Marvel supervillains you want me to do a video about, and I'll upload it as soon as possible. To learn more facts, check out my books on Amazon. They're available on paperback and Kindle. Thanks for watching. See you again.